UFC Fight Night Sacramento, Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodriguez is right around the corner, and the couch coaches are back to break down every single fight on the card. How are we feeling today, Rocky Shorley?
We're feeling good. We're feeling good.
We're feeling good? You think you, scale of 1 to 10, how excited for this card are you?
I was actually pretty good for a fucking fight night, to be honest. Like, as far as fight night, we've been having some shit cards. So just, we've got fucking the man that made John Jones retire secretly, Shamil Gaziev, the
Right,
GOAT.
of
Yep.
course. Best airline in the game. Yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe not heaps of name value, maybe not heaps
Nah,
of high profile, high rank fights, but I love slop when it's finishes, and that's what this is. I think it's a lot of guys being set up to make a name for themselves and build them, and you know, we come from WWE, so we know what it's like to build a guy up from a mid carder to a main carder. It's very
he's a
important
big
these days.
character as well.
So
These are
let's get
the
underway. I'm going to
Yep.
bring the topology on the screen. Here we can see it here. So let's start with the very first fight, which is Chanel Dyer versus Elise Reed. Is that like zoomed in enough for you? Do you need me to
I'm all
kind
good.
of
I've got my work phone too, mate.
right? But how about just for the viewers' optic?
Oh, fuck him.
Fuck them. Fuck the viewers. That's right. Fuck all three of them. All right. Chanel Dyer versus Elise Reed. Do you want to go first on this one, or do you want me to kind of chop it up?
It's probably best you talk about chicks, bro, because honestly, I don't give a fuck about these guys. At least fucking we have a potential chance of a finish, but
Exactly right. No, I completely agree with you. I give zero fucks about WMMA, and I never try and pretend to be as knowledgeable about this as I am the regular UFC. However, this fight here, I am somewhat excited for. I think Chanel Dyer
yeah.
is really going to be something. She's 25 years of age. Her only loss comes to Caro Foro, who we saw fight Gigi on the UFC Fight Night card 2 weeks ago. And even that on the Dana White Contender Series, it was a good enough, close enough back and forth fight for Chanel Dyer to get a contract. She showed really good toughness in the late rounds when she was being hurt. But honestly, the performance I'm looking at mostly for her is the TKO 4 months ago over Ravina Oliveira. Her kicks to the body, her kicks to the legs. She brought her kicks up high, and she was able to TKO her in the second round. Elise Reed, I think, is very, very, very low level. She's 8-5. She is coming off of a loss to Denise Gomez, who was pretty good, but it's still a KO loss. It was a year ago. For Elise Reed, she actually trains out of her own gym that she operates. And the reports that we're hearing these days is that she's more focused on training fighters and focusing and building her gym than she is on her own personal career. I just think it's time to pass the torch. I think Chanel Dyer is going to light her up in this fight with kicks to all three levels, legs, body, head, and I think we're going to see a TKO or a KO for Chanel Dyer in the second or third round once the damage starts to add up.
I've got it by decision just as a safe bet, but I'm praying for a finish. I'm praying for a finish. Yeah.
Not too much to say, really. 97% are on Chanel Dyer. A lot are on TKO, so a lot of people are seeing what I'm seeing. She did have the head kick finish here over Mariam Turchivana, who's 9-2, who has a better record. Lost to Loma Bookmoon by submission, Elise Reed. I didn't like that for her because Loma Bookmoon is kind of like a Muay Thai specialist, and she's very small for the weight class. So how is a Muay Thai specialist taking you down and subbing you?
Yeah.
Wasn't a great look. Jinyu Frey, she got that win, but against Jinyu Frey, who's 11-8, lost to Gondinez, beat Jessica Penne, but still, I don't see enough potential in Elise Reed. I think Chanel Dyer TKOs her. I think we're actually going to have a female finish for once.
Please.
Pause. Let's move on the card then to the first ever male fight on the card. Jackson McVeigh versus Wes Schultz. Everybody's looking at this as two of the biggest middleweight prospects. No, we're not. These guys are fucking terrible. These guys are bottom of the barrel. But, I don't know why they're fighting each other. These are supposed to be cans we use to build other people. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, it looks like they've got two prospects fucking highlight reels fighting each other instead of fighting a prospect.
Yep.
But, I was not impressed that much by Schultz, to be honest, when we last saw him. So I've actually picked Jackson McVeigh by K. And I hope he does in the first round, bro, so I can fucking go make some breakfast or crack an energy drink open or something like that. That's what I'm going to use these first two fights is my breakfast time.
And for those who don't know, obviously the fights are on a
New
Sunday
Zealand.
morning for us. So breakfast makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with Schultz. He is coming off of a win over Ben Johnston. I will just quickly take the time to say, not only is Ben Johnston 5-1, not only was Ben Johnston winning that fight for 2 rounds until he stuck
Yeah,
his head into a guillotine and gave Wes Schultz the win, but Ben Johnston, this was on the Australia card, I believe the JDM card. Ben Johnston had been retired for 3 years, and it was actually a fighter he was training that was supposed to fight Wes Schultz on that UFC card. The fighter pulls out, and Ben Johnston, being a nice guy, doesn't want to waste Wes Schultz's time and doesn't want the bout to be cancelled. So he steps in on short notice to fight Wes Schultz after being retired for 3 years, nearly beats the fucking guy, and Wes Schultz matches up a sneaky little guillotine, which really Ben Johnston was sticking his head into the double leg takedowns and giving him this guillotine opportunity throughout the whole fight. Wes Schultz, I don't trust in his wrestling enough. People think it's really good. And going to be good enough to get Jackson McVeigh down. I disagree. I think all Jackson McVeigh has to do is stuff a couple takedowns early, and then this is his fight to win. He's kind of like B-grade Zach Reese, and Zach Reese is already kind of B-grade himself. I believe Zach Reese might have already beaten him by he submitted him. But, coming off of the win over Cedric Dumas, we can't put much stock in that. Cedric Dumas beats everyone. Even manages to beat every single case that goes against him. But the thing with Jackson McVeigh is I think he's just far better on the feet. I think he's just going to land the shots. I think Wes Schultz is he's so open. He's got terrible defense. I think, Jackson McVeigh is just going to find the shots, keep it simple. And I'm also taking first round KO here.
yeah, nice.
There are a few people on the sneaky underdog for Wes Schultz, though. But moving up the card, we have Gage Young versus Stan Dorsainsville.
Yeah.
Any early thoughts on this one?
I mean, everyone wants to see the guys that are the up and coming guys not do too well. The undefeated sort of people always, personally, I've made a lot of money recently off betting on undefeated guys no longer being undefeated. It's usually a pretty easy layup just because they don't like when they start losing, but I just don't see Gage Young beating this. I'm actually taking Stan.
Stan the
I'm
man.
taking by round 2 KO as well. I know he's not as tested and the things, but I have a weird feeling that he's got I don't want to sound like Ian Gary, but he does have that natural athleticism that comes with that colour. He's a big fella. And I have a feeling we're going to see a first round is going to be a little bit but I can see the second round somehow he's going to come in and just do big street fight and swing shots and get a knockout, or take him down to the ground and get a ground and pound. That's my thoughts on the fight. Gage Young,
off a ground and pound TKO,
and Gage Young, bit of a decision merchant. I just don't see it happening. He's going for splits as well. If you're coming fresh into a division and you're getting like splits and decisions, it kind of just tells me that maybe you aren't really at that UFC. I'm not saying he can't get better, but like if you're coming into a division getting splits and decisions and stuff like that, you're not really at the level that's going to keep getting better and better. Especially if you're constantly doing that sort of thing, you're not really improving your game that much. I just think I'd like to see the undefeated prospect go forward on this one.
Well, funny you say that because I've been watching tape, and honestly, I'm on Stan Dorsainsville as well. It might only be 5-0. Everything is pointing to Stan losing this fight just because he's taking it on short notice. We've seen recently with these guys stepping in on short notice against Charles Johnson, against Miles Johns, they're losing. However, the thing I like for Stan Dorsainsville is that he was actually supposed to fight in the LFA in 2 weeks' time. So he was already in a training camp.
Notice, yeah.
Cody Steele pulled out, and so he stepped in to take the fight. So he was already in a training camp. So for both guys, they've already been in a training camp, and it's a fresh matchup for both guys. For Gage Young, he was going to be fighting Cody Steele, who's predominantly a wrestler. Stan Dorsainsville is predominantly a wrestler, so that kind of works, and it might mesh well for Gage Young here. I think Gage Young's very grindy. I think he's very good. I think he's good everywhere, but he's great nowhere. He kind of can mix it up and do it all. He's 26. He's very young. Both guys are very young, 26. For Gage Young, I like that his only losses are coming from Quillen Selkeld on the Dana White Contender Series. We know how good of a loss that is. And to Evan Alder when he debuted in the UFC. But still, he had another loss where he lost by armbar. The thing is, the reason I'm taking Stan Dorsainsville is a few things. His fights on the regional scenes, he looked absolutely phenomenal against Dan Holt here. Dan Holt's a really good prospect. He was 4-0 at the time, and he was just all over him. He fought a really hard fight for 3 rounds, which gives me, confidence in that he won't gas in this fight, because I think if Gage Young is to win, it might take over in the later rounds with his grinding hard pace. For Gage Young, he hurt Thiago Moises in their most recent fight where it was a split decision. But Moises is 39. He's way over the hill now. And Gage Young showed very little finishing instinct in that. He hurt Thiago Moises and begun to do a little emote in the cage rather than looking for the finish. And nearly lost the fight with a split decision. He lost the first round to Thiago Moises as well. Stan looks really good. His takedowns are great. His stand-up defense is questionable and it's pretty terrible, but Gage Young isn't known for being this killer on the feet. He's more known for putting the volume on you and getting you out of there that way. So I don't think Stan Zanesville's going to have to worry about a one-shot KO coming back his way from Gage Young, whereas Stan's clearly shown to have power on the feet. Like you said, he's a very physical guy. The thing I also like for Stan Zanesville is 76-inch reach to 70-inch reach on Gage Young, so he's got way longer arms. And I really like the wrestling of Stan Zanesville. I think his skills look great. Not only that, I was watching an interview today on Gage Young, and Gage Young has a cut above his eyeball. And the betting odds shifted very, very much in favor of Stan Zanesville once this interview came out, because there's been a few interviews with Gage Young with a cut right above his eye, not above his eye, above the eyebrow, but actually in between his eyebrow and his eyelid, which, if you know anything about doctor stoppages in the sport, that is screaming for a jab to be placed. That could get cut open from them just in a couple of wrestling exchanges. You don't actually have to land clean on there. So I am being even persuaded even more towards the Stan Zanesville corner. Typically, I would take Stan to win this fight by decision, just because Gage Young's so tough and I don't see him getting finished. But the reason I'm going to take him by KO is because Dr. Stoppage counts as a TKO. So if he's able to open that cut, I think the fight's going to completely change. And I think regardless of how well Gage Young starts to look, I think the doctors are going to get involved and maybe stop this fight in the second round. I think Stan's going to put the pressure on him. He's got a real chance to make a name for himself as a young guy debuting in the UFC, undefeated. Give me Stan here. And I guess we now move up to the next fight, Ryan Coos versus Marcio Barboza. And this is one of those fights I was talking about where I said they are building someone. They are looking to build a prospect. They are looking to add to the highlight reel. 18-2 with 17 first-round finishes. Marcio Barboza gets the debut. Ryan Coos debuting. Ryan Coos is okay. He has some decent wrestling chops, but in watching his regional fights, specifically this win he has here over Thiago Belo, he lost the first round. Thiago Belo 9-6 at the time. He lost the first round, and honestly, the second and third were very, very close. A lot of scrambles, a lot of tiring pace. I just don't think it's going to matter. I think Marcio Barboza, as we saw with the KO over Bazooka, as we saw with the KO over Damon Wilson on the Contender Series, this guy does not need to land a combination on you. He just needs to land, and you are going lights out. I think this is a very easy fight for Barboza. Some people are underdog hunting and looking at Ryan Coos and looking to see if he mixes in the wrestling. But, 18-2, it doesn't matter how long you've been fighting on the regional scene. You've clearly proven you got twice the fights that Ryan Coos has. And you're also the younger fighter. I think Barboza is going to win here by KO. And I think he follows through, and I think he gets it done in the first round like he has been with every single fight in his career. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it feels like a land to the slaughter highlights situation, like just adding to the highlight reel, really.
It does.
We recently I went back and rewatched a couple of clips of Barboza, and holy shit, that man is gifted with the power.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna. I don't know how he's gonna do it. I can see maybe if Kuz is a bit of a wrestling boy, I can see him coming in for something and just getting caught. Just standard fucking throw the little feint jab or something like that to try and go and come down for a double leg or something like that, and just getting caught with an uppercut or something like that.
The other thing Coos does as well, he's not very defensively sound. Because he relies on his wrestling to scare the opponent, sometimes he'll throw this massive wild overhand, and he won't stay upright while he does it. He follows through with it like he's almost looking for the wrestling. But if you're able to cut an angle and throw like Barboza does very well, I can see him missing with that big overhand and leaving himself plump for the picking. I think that's for his, putting his chin on the plate a lot there.
Yeah. It should be a good fight, though, please.
I think it'll be a highlight reel, and that's what we're signing up for.
Exactly.
We move up to the next fight, which I'm a really big fan of this fight. I'm looking forward to this. Nasrat Haqparast versus Chris Padilla. I've been back and forth on this all week. What are you thinking?
I've got Padilla by decision. The head kick KO against Nasrat. I mean, it's Quillen, we're not thinking to ourselves like, I'm not going to count that off as like a bad loss. You know, it is.
Yeah.
We've seen how good he is recently. But yeah, there's an argument to be made that you could go for something else for Chris, but I think it's just a safe kind of bit on the. He's, I don't want to say he's more well-rounded or anything like that. You know, like I don't know enough about both of them to be say that, but I would just say that it's just an easier, safer bet for me. And when I pick my Tapology, I'm not as good as you, obviously. Um, what are you now? Top 100 or something in the fucking world. Um, I'm just going off what I'd make a safe bet on, and I just feel like he's a safe person to pick. He's got a bit of momentum behind him, even though he might have his last one was fucking a draw. You know, what do you call it, draw? And in my head, once you're coming off a big knockout, you know you're a little bit more worried to go in,
Mhm.
and that's kind of Nasrat's fight style. You know, like a little bit more of a just getting in there. So I don't know how well that's going to play with him mentally. So
Yep.
I've just picked Chris for this one. I don't know if he'll put him out. I don't think he will, but I think he can win this fight.
No, I think you're right. I think it's how does Nasrat look after a head kick KO like that, right? Not just a KO, but a lights out KO and a wake up in the octagon not knowing what the fuck my name is kind of KO. We like to call them Shadow Realmers.
Yep.
But for Nasrat, it's like really at the end of the day, Nasrat has been in there with way higher level opponents than Chris Padilla. You know, Nasrat has losses to Dan Hooker. He has losses to Bobby Green. He just come off a fight against Quill and Salkild. Like, this guy is fighting very good fighters in the lightweight division. He's only ever been finished twice, Quill and Salkild and Drew Dober. Drew Dober knocks out anyone that's not white. But for Nasrat, like, he really is just a boxer. That's the thing for me. He's good at what he does. He has that win over Esteban Ribovics, which is aging really well. TKO Jamie Malaki. He's got some really nice wins in the division, but he has a lot of close fights, a lot of close scraps. Like with Jared Gordon was a very close
Yeah.
scrap. Lots of back and forth, lots of split decisions. But I like him on the feet. I think he's really good at boxing. I think his footwork's nice, but his defense is questionable because with all these wars, it's like, well, you know, if you're this footwork boxer, how come you're getting caught so many times? How come you're getting cut so many times? And the big thing for me is Chris Padilla. If he comes in here and kicks, he's going to win. But is he going to kick? I know he can
Mm,
punch. I know he can throw elbows. Can he do anything other than that, or will he just engage in a boxing fight and give Nasrat a chance? Because I really want to take Nasrat by decision for that reason. For the reason I think Chris Padilla is going to box with him. You know, I think the draw for Padilla was bullshit. I think Padilla clearly won that fight, but the
yeah.
Jai Herbert split decision that he has, the win, that very easily could have gone to Jai Herbert. Now,
Yeah.
Jai Herbert's a sneaky fighter. He's a really good technical stand-up striker, but his volume's shit. Nasrat, on the other hand, has got very good volume. So I think this is going to be a back-and-forth war on the feet. Part of the reason I think Chris Padilla is maybe the smart pick is because Nasrat has more damage, more on the clock. You know, I think he's going to cut himself open. I think, you know, if there's damage on Nasrat's face, even if they both land, they're going to give the decision to Taco Chris Padilla. But in saying that, I don't like how Chris Padilla sometimes starts to fade as the fight goes on. So I'm actually going to take Nasrat by decision. I know it's rough. I know it's dodgy, but I have to trust in what I know. And for me, Padilla just isn't proven yet. But there's really good underdog odds on Padilla, and I'm
Mm,
super shocked that he is an underdog on the betting books because on Tapology he's being picked by 74% of people. But I am going to take Nasrat by decision. I just think he's got more experience,
yep.
and even though it's a lot of miles on the clock, he is only 31. I'm hoping he can bounce back after the 9 months, and I'm hoping he comes out and his chin looks okay and not compromised after that Quill and Salkild KO.
He took a bit of time, to be fair.
Yeah. We move up the card to Rocky's favorite, Shamil Gaziev
Yeah.
versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. And I'll let you start with this one.
Look, I would almost pick Kennedy just because I fucking hate Carlos Olberg so much. One, last name. Two, dog Izzy. Not that, probably poor choice of words. But I I really hate Carlos. So anyone that beats Carlos in my books, one of the boys, I'd have a barbecue with him. But I am built like Shamil Gaziev. I feel like him and I are related, just separated by the Caucasus Mountains. So I want to pick him. We've seen Kennedy. You know, he didn't do too well against Volta Walker, but that's not really a thing you can say anymore because that man is actually just insane at getting submissions.
Yep.
But like in coming up from light heavyweight, I really expected him to do a lot more in heavyweight because of how shit heavyweight is. And he versed black, what is it, chocolate pepper pig, the chocolate pepper pig.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
and,
Yep.
and Chris Barnett is not real. Like, Chris Barnett, you can find anywhere. He looks like a Discord mod. Um, yeah, I think actually we talked about him last time when he had a fight, and it's because he also has his own gym and trains at his own gym. And like he was just ready to give up his whole entire fight. That was a shit fight when we watched him last. So I don't count the whole like I think he played the when he was versing Kennedy. I think he almost faked his injury just to get out of the fight. Um, I actually have Shamil by submission. I know he doesn't have in his last couple fights. He's been stopped himself, and I think he's got a couple of ground and pound KO and a knockout. But I'm picking him by submission in round 2. I honestly think that if he blobs him for the
Mm.
first round, it tires him out, and then somehow gets him down, or even if he strikes him in the first round, he's got a decent enough chin. And in the second round, he just blob maxes, gets Kennedy to the ground, can't be fucked trying to go for a proper finish, so he just like rolls around on top of him until he can find something that he can either choke him out with or break. And I think he's going to go for a submission in the second round. But I'm looking forward to that fight.
Yeah. Everybody in the know is taking Kennedy and Nzechukwu here. They think that Shamil is done. They think that Kennedy has the tools to beat everybody at heavyweight, but he just chooses not to. I don't trust in Kennedy. I think he is miserably shit. I think the Ulberg win, you can't even really give him the credit for it because he got beaten up until Carlos gassed. And the Chris Barnett win, like you said, Chris Barnett was not only injured, but who the fuck is Chris Barnett these days? Like, that's an old man heavy. Like, that's a heavyweight that survived when you could just be fat with a styly kick. Gone are those days. Beats Lucas Brzezinski, another very low level. Lost to Over St. Bruce. That was at light heavyweight, but Over St. Bruce at the time was 41 when he beat him. Fucking ridiculous to lose to that. Like you say, the Volta Walker sub's not a big deal. But the Marcus Buchecha fight, really bad look for Kennedy. Kennedy had that one, and he was just unable to deny the wrestling, unable to get out of these weird, sticky jiu-jitsu positions, and kind of just didn't do enough. Kennedy gasses a lot himself. Everyone's talking about Shamil Gaziev's cardio in this fight. But, Kennedy himself, even when he's not gassed, he does fuck all. He waits for the perfect opportunities rather than using his range and his speed at this weight class. I think Shamil's going to use the size and put it on him as well. I think Shamil Gaziev's coming off of 2 fight losses, both by KO. But Waldo Cortez Acosta has knocked out a lot of people, put a lot of people down, so we don't hate that loss. And then the Brando Pericic fight, it was only 3 months ago, which concerns me a little bit, but Brando Pericic drops everybody with 2 or 3 punches. It took him 2 rounds against Shamil Gaziev. It took him 90 significant strikes. Shamil Gaziev kept coming forward. He kept eating them, and he actually had some moments of himself. So I don't see why he can't put it on Kennedy and win at least the first round, maybe even hurt Kennedy, and then maybe drops the second to tired or being gassed. And then I think it's going to come down to a close third round fight where Kennedy's only looking to strike, whereas Shamil's striking, but he's also putting him up against the cage, doing very little, no, explosive movements or big damage, but just winning off of control time like those people from his area do. I'm going to take Shamil Gaziev, and I'm actually going to secretly take him by decision, even though everyone thinks he's going to gas. I think he'll do enough to win this fight overall. I'm not a big fan of Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I think he has all the skills and tools to do it, but I just don't think he does enough. And I think Shamil Gaziev's tough too. I think you're going to have to land more than just a 1-2 on this guy. Brando Pericic might have landed a 1-2, but it was 100 1-2s, Let's move up the card to Jamal Emmers versus Larian Douglas. And for those who know Jamal Emmers and are in the know, you know how good this guy can be, but he is 37. He reminds me of like a featherweight, I believe he was former bantamweight, Michael Johnson, because the way that Jamal Emmers fights, he's so good at beating the people he is not supposed to beat. Like, he has wins over Corey Sandhagen. He has wins over that undefeated fighter that was 23-0 that debuted against him. But then he'll go out there and, beat Nate Landwehr up for 5 minutes and then get KO'd by him. So he's very much like a Michael Johnson. He beats the guys he's supposed to lose to, and he loses to the guys he's supposed to beat. This fight here, Jamal Emmers is on a 2-fight win streak. He did wrestle fuck Hyder Emil, but Hyder Emil's kind of shown to not be that great recently. I think he's on a 3-fight skid. The win over Gabriel Miranda, decent enough to win by TKO, but Gabriel Miranda is really not that high level. Nate Landwehr, you're losing to Nate Landwehr, a different version of Nate Landwehr, sure, but win over Dennis Bazooka. Everybody's beating Dennis Bazooka these days.
Yes.
Lost to Jack Jenkins. But for Larian Douglas, I think Larian Douglas will eventually get fraud checked. He's another one of these guys that his power is so crazy. His debut on the Dana White Contender Series against Cam Teague, he dropped him and brutally KO'd him. I believe he dropped him twice in like 30 seconds. Same with Julian Erosa. He got him out of there with a jab. But Julian Erosa is shown to be quite chinny. But Larian Douglas clearly has insane X-Factor power in his hands. However, his takedown defense is a little bit questionable. His volume is a little bit questionable. He sometimes kind of waits around looking for that perfect shot, but when you can wait for that perfect shot when you know you're going to put them down and hurt them. I think the safe pick is to take Larian Douglas by KO in the first round, so that's what I'm going to do. But I could see a world in where Jamal Emmers is winning the fight until he's not. So I could see a Jamal Emmers coming out here and looking really good for the first round, being quicker on the feet, landing the better shots, taking Larian Douglas down. But when you're 37, cardio becomes a harder thing to keep up. Same with the shape that you're in when fighting. So I think Larian Douglas will eventually find the chin of Jamal Emmers, who's been shown to be kind of chinny before. And Larian Douglas definitely doesn't lack any power. So I'm gonna take the prospect here. I think he's gonna put him out cold in the first round.
I mean, I completely agree with everything you've just said. Jamal Emmers is one of those people that beats the people he shouldn't, which always makes me worried to bet against him. But I have got Larian Douglas by round 2 TKO or KO. He does have. I've only seen his contender fight in the most recent one he had, but I don't know. Cameron looks at all the stuff. I just look at the UFC stuff really normally. But that Julian Erosa fight, I was sitting there kind of going like, yeah, no, like he's got the God's gift, but how far you can take that, a lot of people seem to, with the natural ability, don't do as well as they should because they don't really train for all the worst possibilities. They just train for that one perfect time or that one perfect moment. That's why I've gone from the second round. I can see him maybe not looking really bad in the first round, anything like that, but just Jamal Emmers showing that there is levels in the UFC. He's been around a lot longer, obviously, and has a lot more experience. I can just see that coming into play in the first round, and then maybe he builds up his confidence, and that's when he gets caught in the second round. He comes out a little bit more confident and just gets caught by a sniper shot, basically. So yeah, I've got him second round KO.
Yeah, Douglas kind of reminds me of a smaller version of Prates, the way he sort of started his career with a bit of average. He's got 5 losses, but he's now on this win streak that's absolutely incredible. He's KOing everybody he touches. And it's with the Prates similarities, it's kind of like that losing till you're not losing. So I am going to bet on that in this fight, but it sounds like you are as well. But you're taking round 2.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Anthony Wint versus Terrence Chapman. You know much about this fight?
Mr. Dana White's Contender Series calling out for a fight straight away. I like that. That shows a little bit of hustle. I like that. I like that a lot. Please be a good heavyweight. We've had to deal with so many fat heavyweights. It's nice to see like an athletic one come through. Please actually don't get fraud checked and ruin everything. I like to believe that there can be still good. Personally, I would not mind if the heavyweight division was allowed to use steroids and just made it cool again. Because, the top of heavyweight's got cool guys, Cyril Gane, Tom Aston or whatever, but for the rest of them, it is literally my build. It is unfit. Like, I get so upset.
There are some coming through, though.
Yes.
We are in the middle of the wave of heavyweight. There are a lot of new heavyweights coming through, but I'll talk about that when I'm breaking my fight down. What were you saying?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, if they keep putting all the prospects against each other, only half of them are going to get through. I understand that's how it's supposed to happen, but I'm just praying that I've got Wint by the first round TKO or KO. I can just see him getting him onto the ground and just beating the shit out of him. I see, like, it's hard for me to. I've seen it time and time again when you see like a good-looking heavyweight come through with a prospect heavyweight, if you will, or just any division of the bigger divisions, where they just have like 1 or 2 really good attributes, but as soon as it doesn't work out for them, they kind of give up on themselves, and it becomes one of those boring heavyweight, like, just grinding against each other, nothing happening, everyone gasses, and it's just fucking shit for the fans to watch. I'm really hoping that this fight doesn't turn into that, and it is even a quick, exciting fight. I'm hoping that Wint takes it out, but I've seen it time and time again where like the heavyweight prospect that's supposed to be the next big thing or an up-and-coming sort of thing, and I'm not saying that those ones that have fallen into such scenario won't ever turn around and fix their problems, but a lot of them just have like a couple good things about them and just a bit of confidence. So as soon as it gets tested, they're not that skilled enough to like come bounce back from that, and they just become that guy that's going to be on the prelims for the rest of fucking their UFC career until they cut. So I'm hoping Wint goes out there and shows a really good, a good showing from Wint would be really nice to see for the heavyweight division.
Yeah, so just off of that, yeah, like I actually think we're in this sort of new wave of heavyweight where for the last 2 or 3 years, you're exactly right. It was Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, and other than that, it was like Derek Lewis and Taito Ivasa. We had nothing. We really had nothing coming through. But I think with, we have RJ Harris, who got a KO the other week. We have Montana, Jose Montana, who got a really nice finish the other week. Josh Hokett, Gabriel Stevenson. We now have Anthony Wynn. We have Brando Pericic. There are some names coming through at heavyweight that I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. And that's why I'm going to trust that Anthony Wynn here. I think asking for a fight that quickly shows how confident you are. I'm not concerned about the weight cut or anything because this guy's at 234 pounds. He makes this weight easy. He is a little bit short, but I don't see why he can't do exactly what he did on the Dana White Contender Series to Matt Adams. Just pick him up, dump him on his ass, and just beat the living shit out of him. Like you said, you want to talk about the physiques and who looks like a heavyweight or who looks like an athlete here, it's Anthony Wynn. But for Terrence Chapman, this guy's getting memed, and 97% of people are picking against him to get KO'd, but he's actually not that bad. I watched some of his fights, and the truth is, he would actually hang in there with a lot of heavyweights in the UFC. A lot of lower level heavyweights, he would actually give them a tough back and forth fight. But I think Anthony Wynn's the real deal. I think he's going to go in there, put this guy on his ass, and just beat the living shit out of him. I haven't seen enough from Terrence Chapman. It's not like Anthony Wynn 7-0, some young prospect going against a guy who's got way more experience in him. This isn't a Marcin Tybura where it could be like, oh, is he going to pull out a crafty vet signature, submission here, or like is Anthony Wynn going to gas? Terrence Chapman's got less fights than him. He's 5-1, so I'm going to trust in the undefeated fighter. I think Anthony Wynn will get stopped somewhere along the way in heavyweight, but I don't see why he can't just get this fight completely done in the first couple minutes.
Yeah.
We move on to the second female fight, which is Carly Judice versus Jaisa Chavez. Not really that important of a fight. I will say I'm a fan of Carly Judice. I'm a fan of how much volume she puts on girls. She's a really nice stand-up fighter. She has got some finishes in her career as well. The KO head kick over Duban, the KO win over Nicole Kalari, and then a close fight with Juliana Miller. That looks really bad. In hindsight, a close fight with Juliana Miller or a back and forth. It wasn't that close of a fight, but Juliana Miller did get her down at times. But Juliana Miller has shown that, hey, maybe she's not as terrible as we all thought she was. For Judice, I just like her volume. I think anyone in the female division who's not letting these fights go to close back and forth decisions and is looking to put the pace and put the pressure on you regardless of what has coming back, I'm going to trust in that every single time. I'm going to trust in her activity. Don't be fooled by the Jaisa Chavez 7-0. She's really not that good. And if you look at here, she got past Duban by split decision, whereas Judice was able to KO her. But not only that, there was moments in that fight where she had Duban's back and just didn't even know how to cinch in a rear naked choke. She didn't know what to fucking do. So her jiu-jitsu is pretty good once she's on top, but off of her back, she doesn't know what she's doing. And even if she does manage to wrestle Carly Judice down to the ground, we saw Judice get back up against Juliana Miller. I don't see why she can't do it against her. And I'm actually going to take Judice by finish as well. I think Chavez is tough, but I think as the pressure mounts and the volume starts to melt, I think she's going to melt as a fighter, and I think we're going to see Carly Judice slowly take over in this fight and possibly even get her out of there in the third round.
Yeah. You got a third round as well?
I've got third round TKO.
I've got third round submission. The only reason I'm thinking that is because what you were saying about Chavez not knowing how to go for a submission, not knowing how to do it, and just sitting there. It also tells me she probably doesn't know how to get out of it. They might have a little bit of back and forth for the early rounds, but yeah, as you said, I reckon you can just see her getting a little bit tired, getting taken down in the third round. I can see a sub happening. It's not something I'd bet on. Not that I bet on women's MMA anyway, but it's definitely like, yeah, Chavez just really looked kind of and like, yeah. I know that's kind of, I do respect. I like the Alexa Grassos and stuff like that. That is people that actually show decent skill in the division. I like that sort of stuff in the women MMA division. But there is really just so many cans, and so like when you're just, I know the power is hard to muster up when you're wee tiny chicks and that, but like I just don't see anything crazy happening. So when you see a finisher come along, we are very, very thankful that this that Carly has any finishes at all. That's rare in the division. So I'm just hoping we see another finish, and that if you get a finish as a chick, bro, you only have to get a few finishes back to back, and then you're fucking nearly at a title fight. It almost feels like in these. That's
Absolutely
how much
right.
it's
Yeah.
dying out some interest in their divisions. So I'm kind of hoping, yeah, we see something cool again. Cause they wouldn't put this fight this far up the card if they thought there was gonna be nothing coming from it. I'm
I
hoping
think they
it's
know. I think they know Judas brings it, man.
yeah. I hope something good happens because it's just going to get to the point where people are just going to meme it even more and stop fucking caring about it at all. I know fight nights you don't put your best fights on the fight night as, up and coming guys and stuff like that, but we're going to watch it regardless. I'd like to be entertained.
Yeah, it's on a main card for a reason, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Next fight we have is Markel Medeiros versus Mason Jones. Why don't you start us off with this one?
Yeah, I got Mason Jones and I've got him by round 2 KO. I'm not a huge finisher, but I love his fights. I love his fights. I wasn't around for the original run, but this one I'm loving. He's got the dog in him.
Yep.
It's just I put him into those sort of categories with like the Diego Lopez and that sort of stuff like that. Like even if you aren't a big fan of them, the fight's going to be entertaining, and I'm just really looking forward. This is going to be a real good fucking fight. It's like one of those like if you watch UFC enough and you're not just like the guy that tunes in and asks if Conor McGregor's fighting fucking John Jones, you're gonna enjoy this sort of fight. This is for us, for the fans. I love these sort of fights. Um, I can't. He gets touched, Mason. He gets caught sometimes, but that's also what's part of it is exciting. Like at least he's willing to get hit to throw something. It's not just like a MVP level striking match where there's like half a significant strike per round or anything stupid like that. It can go back and forth, and that's what makes it exciting. But I think at the end of the day, I'm just going to pick Mason Jones. He's was it Cage Warriors he went to?
Yep.
Yeah, Cage Warriors he went to, and he got the finishes in Cage Warriors, didn't he? And I feel like he's on a bit of a momentum streak at the moment, and I hope he carries this forward. But regardless, I think this fight is going to be really interesting. It's going to be a good fight to watch too.
What does he say? What are the numbers, Mason? What's the line?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. The numbers, Mason.
What do they
Step
mean?
one. Yeah, step one. Get the keys.
Yeah, when you said Mason before, I couldn't stop thinking about that. But no, I agree. This is on a main card for a very good reason. This could have been on a fucking pay-per-view to open it up. Mason Jones is so fun to watch. And here's the thing. Markel Medeiros is really good. He probably is the better technical fighter here, I would say. But, like, we got to stop just treating Mason Jones like he's this, he is a dog, but he's also 18-2. Like that's a really, really good record. And one of those losses is to Ludovic Klein, who's clearly top 15 level. And it's like for Mason Jones to actually lose, and it was actually him who asked for his release so that he could go back and learn, got all these finishes on Cage Warriors, came back, and he's been an absolutely demon since. So I really like Mason Jones, and I understand that he's kind of similar to Gage Young. He's kind of this meat and potatoes fighter that just wants to come to forward and do the basics, and he's good everywhere. He's great nowhere. But where he is great is he has so much heart that he is going to outdog Markel Medeiros. I'm going to take Mason Jones by decision. I am a little bit worried that maybe Markel lands something clean and smooth when Mason Jones tries to step in, but Markel Medeiros doesn't really have that one-shot KO power. A lot of decisions, a split decision to Austin Hubbard, who was able to get his back, really hasn't aged that well. The draw to Chris Padilla clearly won that fight. Mark Choinsky, that's a decent win, but Mark Choinsky and Landon Cornells are not on the level of Mason Jones. Mason Jones, Axel Sola takes his O, beats first guy to beat Axel Sola. That was a really impressive performance. Close first round, but then just pushed the pace, pushed the volume. Like you said, he's willing to eat one to throw five, and that's what I like in a fighter. It's a guy he's out there to win you your money. He's out there to put on a show. He's not going to, if Mason Jones is going to lose, it's going to be by KO. Balaji Oki hurt him early in that fight, but then he was able to hurt Oki and come back and finish him. The Jeremy Stevens fight, I wasn't a huge fan of because I felt like Mason should have wrestled more in that, but he gave Jeremy Stevens a chance. But overall, Mason Jones has just looked so impressive. and there's no reason why I would bet against him now. I do think eventually, as Mason Jones is stepping up in competition and fighting better people, someone's going to chin him. It's going to get to a lightweight where someone is going to chin him because he comes in with reckless abandonment and these big flurries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shot combos into a double leg. But I think he's going to put the pressure and the pace on Markel Medeiros. He's got the experience, and I think he's going to break him. I think he fights at a way higher pace than Chris Padilla does. And even though Padilla and Marco Medeiros were able to go the distance and kind of keep up with a high level pace fight, I think Mason Jones is even better at doing that. And I think in 3-round fight, I think he'll drown Marco Medeiros. I think Marco Medeiros is slick and he's clean and his footwork's decent enough to, maybe get some respect off of Mason, so Mason can't inflict his will into the 2nd and 3rd round. So I don't think Marco Medeiros will get drowned and subbed or finished. I think he is tough enough to make it to a decision, but I see no reason to bet against Jones in this fight.
Yeah.
And we'll move up the card to what I thought was the co-main and what I think should have been the co-main. It's not. Yeah. It's light heavyweight Roman Derrida making his debut at light heavyweight against Roman Dolidze, who's had a couple of fights up there. Derrida used to be your guy, Rocky. Why don't you break this fight down for us? Who you got?
I have Derrida by round 2 sub. I think the first round we're gonna see some fucking useless, goofy shit striking from René Derrida. Like he is UFC level. Don't get me wrong. Multi-division champion as well. Not in UFC obviously, but he's got weird. He's just a weird fucking fighter, and that's what made me like him as a WWE kid. He was just goofy, doing weird shit.
He's gangly is the best word for him.
Yeah, he is. Gangly. But he looked quite at times, even though I mean he beat Bo Nickel, which was very impressive. But and we've seen Bo Nickel be really good actually recently. Like, as much as I don't want to say it, he's been looking quite good. Not being versus the best people, but you know what I mean. But yeah, like, I was a bit harsh on him. I was like, this is embarrassing. His Rob Whittaker fight, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But he did say, I actually subscribed to his YouTube, and he was talking about his weight cuts, and he was going to do like oxygen therapy, and they were saying that like his body wasn't holding enough oxygen because he was cutting weight and it was causing problems for him and stuff like that. And when I actually watched that, he broke down the science. And it was actually, as much as I hate to say it, it's quite interesting. But it was a bit of an eye opener for me. And he's going up and down weights like all the time. And his other, is it one, wasn't it?
Yep.
And that's honestly why he probably got caught a little bit. But I think maybe at light heavyweight, and I hope at light heavyweight, he shows a complete different sort of skill set. I'm not expecting him to like suddenly have like Alex Pereira level striking or anything like that, but just to feel better about himself. His body isn't, he isn't just as weak or doesn't feel 80% for the fight. He really does feel 100% and actually puts on a good show. And it's not like Dolidze is the biggest light heavyweight. I mean, he's a middleweight, really, isn't he? We've seen him. I know he's gone up and down a couple of times, some of that obviously too, but like fighting Anthony Smith, it's not really like, if we're talking about like Anthony Smith that fought John Jones and stuff like that, it's not the same one. And yeah. I've never liked him anyway. I think he's a fucking loser weirdo, but it's not really like the stamp on your fucking, you don't get an award for beating Anthony Smith, fetal position Smith. So I think René Derrida just has he versus Rob Whittaker. Rob Whittaker's not shit. I actually think Rob Whittaker would beat him at light heavyweight. Well, I say that now before I see him fight at light heavyweight, but I still think Rob Whittaker would beat René Derrida at light heavyweight. Chances are, just because now he's coming into that. But I think René Derrida will look a lot better at light heavyweight, and I'm hoping he's just gonna do his weird gangly shit. The first round probably won't go 100% to plan. Hopefully he doesn't do his weird thing where he gasses and no mass, gives up on the fucking chair in between rounds. It was fucking embarrassing to watch. I hope he uses his skill set well at this weight and just tries to take Dolidze down. And I think I saw your video, actually, you said something about him going to decision, and I can definitely see that happening, but just because I'm a Rainier fan, I'm hoping he gets the sub. I'm hoping he shows off his skill set, because he is quite good at just getting weird gangly shit going. And you know, I could actually see him in the clinch too. He could actually do some damage in the clinch, but I don't think he's got that much strength in the clinch or in his striking. But he might have enough to maybe make Delize drop or try shoot a takedown, something like that, and then catch him with something. Then that's kind of why I've picked the submission for him. But yeah, I think Derrida can take this one.
Yeah, I mean, RDR 21-4 takes on Delize 15-5. Yeah, I agree with your take. The only thing is I'm taking Derrida by decision because I think Delize's smart enough. I think he's got decent enough jiu-jitsu. A lot of people are talking about, is Derrida over the hill? Is he past his prime at the age of 35? Let's not forget Delize's 38. You know, he's getting up there in age. You touched on it as well. He went to decision with Anthony Smith. Not only did he fight Anthony Smith, and we can't really put too much stock in that win, he didn't even finish fetal position Anthony Smith, who's trying to finish himself. You know, like he nearly lost a fucking attack by family Anthony. But for Delize, coming off of 2 losses as well, the thing I don't like for Delize was the Anthony Hernandez loss. Anthony Hernandez just threw him around. He was able to pick him up, dance with him, fucking punch him in the head, throw him back down, leading to a submission. Delize had absolutely nothing for him. Then he goes out there and loses to Kristen Leroy Duncan in a close fight. But for Derrida, yeah, he had the Brendan Allen loss where he won that first round, and then Brendan Allen took over, and we did see him quit on the stool. Very clearly a health and a cardio issue rather than a skill issue. He bounced back against Kyle Braujo, who's a way more technical striker than Roman Delize. And not only did he not get hurt in that fight or not get KO'd, he actually had some moments of success as well against a technical striker, and he went all 3 rounds looking pretty good. But Derrida, though, the reason I'm not taking him by sub is sometimes I don't like his takedowns. I think his jiu-jitsu is amazing, but I think his takedowns aren't always great. So I think Delize maybe won't even shoot. I think this might take place on the feet as a bit of a stand-up affair, but I think both guys are pretty average. Delize only throws 1 shot at a time. It's a big, massive right hand that might hurt you if it lands, but he doesn't throw 1-2s. You know, he doesn't throw head kicks. He doesn't mix it in. He has a body kick and he has a right hand, and that's about it. But Derrida, he has that beautiful step and knee. I think he is better in the clinch than Delize. And I could even see a situation where Delize gets sick of being on the feet and tries to do his grinding pace and wrestle against Derrida and wrestle into Derrida's world. And Derrida can just win dominant positions, take his back for a round, sit on top of him for a round, and land some ground and pound. But I don't think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to be a finish. I'm going to take Reina Derrida by decision, but I'm excited to see how he looks at light heavyweight because we haven't seen him yet. And so how much did that weight cut affect him? Whereas Delize, we've already seen him at both weight classes, and he's not very different adjusting between the two.
Yeah.
We move up to the co-main event, Sergey Spivak versus Vitor Petrino. It's annoying, right? Because it's another one of these, like, look at the specimen that is Vitor Petrino and then look at the blob that is Sergey Spivak.
Loses to Anthony Smith.
Man, Spivak, he did get subbed by Anthony Smith. That's what forced him to go up to
I would
heavyweight.
I would kill myself.
You would? Yeah. Maybe I would as well. But Spivak's cool. I like Spivak. I think he used to really be a dark horse in this division. His grappling used to be scary and unknown. His submission games, wins over guys like, Taito Ivasa with a submission, win over Martin Tybora, which is a really good submission to have. And then his most recent win over Ante Delija. But the fight against Ante Delija it took place on the feet, and Spivak was able to beat the guy with a jab. Let's not forget this is Tom Aspinall's training partner. He looked really good in that fight. The loss to Waldo Cortez Acosta, I ask anyone to go back and watch that fight because I actually believe he won that. So, and then a loss to Jolton Almeida and a loss to Cyril Gahn. We can't put too much stock into that. I'm going to take Spivak. I think Vitor Petrino is going to have some big moments early on. I think Vitor Petrino is always scary and good early on because he's coming up from light heavyweight. He's a specimen. He's got that one-shot knockout power. He can wrestle. But the thing with Petrino is he just gets so tired so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think someone like Spivak is going to be able to slow it down, play the slow game, survive that first round with maybe a couple of scary moments, and then I think he's going to look to blob him. I think he's going to put his weight up against the cage. I think he's going to get takedowns. Petrino's going to get back up. I think he's going to take him down again. And I think the constant wrestling, the constant pressure, the constant jab is going to force Vitor Petrino to make bad decisions on the feet. I think he's going to get tired quick. I think his arms are going to get very tired. And I'm actually going to take Spivak by like an arm triangle submission in the second or third round. I'm taking Spivak on this. And surprisingly, a lot of people are actually on Petrino. It's pretty 50-50 on the middle here. What do you got for this fight?
I have Spivak by submission round 3. Basically the same reason you do. I think Vitor will look good in the first round, and he'll look like what we think a heavyweight could be for the first round. And if he doesn't get him out in the first round, I mean, Spivak's been around for a while now. He's versed the scariest of the heavyweights. Like
Yeah.
people versing Cyril, like as much as oh. Cyril Garn gets a bit bad rap for cheating and stuff like that. Like he is legitimately one of the only real heavyweights. You know what I mean? Like an actual specimen that's not shit. Um, so like losing to him's not that bad, but like having to verse someone that good and then go to verse a guy that lost to Anthony Smith, man, like yeah, yeah. I think Spivak's probably not unaware of the danger from the first round or early days, and knowing that he could probably just get caught with something. But if he can make it past that, I can just see him, stalling, winding him up, taking him down, picking him up again, or letting Vitor pick himself up again just to gas himself. Second round might be a little bit boring, but it'll be just him wearing down Vitor, and then I think in the third round he'll just kind of give up on himself. Not in the way that like Anthony Smith does or something like that, but just start gassing, getting sloppy, do something stupid like shoot on him or something like that, and Spivak will make him pay for it.
I very much agree. Let's move up to the main event: Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodriguez. And I'll let you go first for this because I've actually picked a pick flip. So you go first.
Yeah. Well, I saw your other video, and Reese and I were talking about it too. RoboCop has maybe 1 or 2 rounds to get Anthony Hernandez out, and if not, I think there's not a single chance he wins. We saw that with the Jared Cannonier fight. And I actually think Gregory Rodriguez actually has a better gas tank than sometimes we give him credit for, but because he goes so crazy in those first couple of rounds, he gasses himself out. If he took his time and was more patient, he'd do a lot better. But I can see him going for that Anthony Hernandez body, bro. That Sean Strickland made the blue, like obviously it's happened before, but like Sean Strickland, because it's so recent in people's memory, people would have watched that fight, especially if you're training to verse Fluffy. You're going to go for that body shot. But in saying that, seeing that Sean has been training with Fluffy, they might have gone over something. Here's the thing, you guys. That's how I beat you, basically. And they would have. I'm hoping that they trained to kind of like go like, hey, you're weak to the body. You've got a lot of heart for a guy. Used to be fat. That's another reason I have to believe in Fluffy as well. He's the fat man's. That's the fat man's dream, is to lose the weight and then become unstoppable.
Right.
We saw him absolutely fucking dog walk a couple people now, but it was when he dragged Old Mate across the ring and choked him out, and that was so fucking tough when he did that. Yeah, Delize. It was Delize too. Yeah, there's another reason fucking Spivak do that to him too. But yeah, when he did that, bro, that was so impressive. Like that was one of the coolest fights I've seen in a while, actually. Which is not normally the sort of fight I would really care about. I'm much more of a Ilya Taporia fucking highlight KO sort of guy. But yeah, Hernandez, he has a lot of heart. Obviously his body is his weak point. I can see that, and the first couple rounds for RoboCop is unstoppable. He really does earn that nickname. Yeah, he is quite a dangerous man, and I can see him landing that shot, to be honest. But I have picked Hernandez by submission in round 4. I think as he wades the deep waters, if he survives the initial attack from Gregory, we see Gregory slow down, and that's when he can start working in his dirty boxing. We could see a takedown, and I'm hoping, I don't know what sub he'd go for, but I could see Anthony really getting it done in the later rounds. It's really just a coin flip for me. I'll probably have a bet with both of them winning it. But yeah, that's my take.
So there is 2 ways this fight goes. It's Rodriguez gets him out of there early, or Hernandez takes over as the fight goes on and submits him. And all week I've been on Hernandez by submission. I've been, like you said, I made a video about it. I've talked about Hernandez drowning him in the deep waters, and I've talked about, because I'm a guy that picked Jared Cannonier to beat Rodriguez, knowing that maybe it was too soon for him, knowing what would happen in the later rounds. But honestly, it was going back and watching that fight that is the reason I'm picking Gregory Rodriguez. Jared Cannonier is so tough and so hard to finish. the body kicks he was eating in that first round from Gregory Rodriguez were fucking disgusting. The slap that they had against Jared Cannonier's body, to the point where I'm like, way more powerful than the Michel Pereira body kick that dropped Anthony Hernandez. So, he's coming off of a TKO over Sean Strickland where he was hurt with a knee to the body. People said that he didn't wrestle against Gregory Rodriguez because he had a broken rib. Anyone who knows anything about a broken rib is that's not an injury that just heals and then goes away. That rib is forever weakened. That rib is forever cracked. You're still soft to the body. So I don't like hearing that. I don't see why Gregory Rodriguez now, after watching the Jared Cannonier fight, I don't see why he can't land that crazy, nasty, powerful shot in the first couple rounds. I am going to be taking Gregory Rodriguez. It's scary. It's a dodgy pick, but if you watch the Bruno Ferreira KO that recently Gregory Rodriguez got, he actually did that on accident. Go back and watch that, and he literally just puts his arms out there looking to set something else up and kind of gauge the distance, and that was enough to chin Bruno Ferreira. This guy is so powerful. This guy is so scary at middleweight. Let's not forget how good at jiu-jitsu and how good at grappling he is. This guy was able to outpower Kristen Leroy Duncan and hold him up against the cage. Rodriguez is able to get his own takedowns in certain moments as well. So I think his teep kick looks really good too. And a teep against a guy like Hernandez is really going to hurt. It's not often Sean Strickland gets somebody out of there, but he was able to accumulate damage and finish Anthony Hernandez. And Sean Strickland has little to no power. So a guy like Rodriguez who does, I'm actually going to switch to Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going to take him by first round KO. I think he's going to land the disgusting damage to the body. I don't think it's going to be a 1-2 down the middle or an uppercut or a knee. I think it is just going to be back to that body, back to those basics. And I think I don't think Hernandez can just kind of walk him down and have his pressure and be that really on the front foot pressure boxer that looks for a takedown like he has been against a lot of his opponents, because I think he has to respect Gregory Rodriguez so much that it's going to allow Gregory Rodriguez to get into the fight and kind of dictate the pace and lead the fight rather than being on the back foot. So I'm going to take Gregory Rodriguez to land the big shot. I'm going to go against you here, Rocky. I know the smart pick is probably Anthony Hernandez, but with what we've been seeing recently, I don't mind taking the underdog, especially when he's so live like this. I'm going to bet on Gregory Rodriguez to get this done and win in the first couple rounds.
That's completely fair. It's a coin flip for me. But what happens? Who do you fight if they win? Who wins? Who would you set them up with next?
If Rodriguez wins, maybe you do him versus. It depends, really. Are we doing a Strickland Chimaev rematch? Do you think?
I hope not.
If it's the Strickland Chimaev rematch, then you do the winner of this versus Kyle Baralho, or you do the winner of this versus Imavov, depending on whether Imavov just wants to stay out. Maybe if Gregory Rodriguez wins, maybe you do Rodriguez versus Brendan Allen, but Brendan Allen's already lost to Anthony Hernandez. If Anthony Hernandez wins, there's no point doing like an Izzy or something like that. He needs a wrestler. He'll need to step up. I think you would do him versus Kyle Baralho or versus Imavov. Would be my suggestions for who these guys fight. But middleweight's kind of looking quite lackluster because within the space of a month, Paulo Costa from the rankings has gone to light heavyweight. Delizes has gone from the rankings to light heavyweight. Reina Dorita's gone from the rankings to light heavyweight. Robert Whittaker's gone from the rankings to light heavyweight. So middleweight's very, very dry. It kind of has a top five, but other than that, no one else really knows who to fight. But that is the fights done. That is all of our predictions done. We are about an hour in, so I guess we'll kind of finish these picks and we'll wrap it up with anything you want to say, Rocky.
I just want to say I didn't think I could dislike someone as much as I dislike Yair. That in my mind at the moment, Gene Silva is in a better place. I was so looking forward to that fight. And I have nothing against Delgado, don't get me wrong, but I was really looking forward to that fight. And, obviously we saw for the last Noche. Was it last Noche or was it Noche before? When they were kind of like, I almost felt like they were building Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez. And I was like, dude, any of those fights are going to be cool. I really just want to see Yair because I don't really like, he's so inactive. And
it's ridiculous because he's such a dynamic, fun striker and there's so many fights for him. But even, we haven't seen him since the Patricio Pitbull win. And since then, Pitbull's come out and versed Dan Ige, who he beat, and then lost to Aaron Pico. And he lost that fight, and he's had 2 fights since then. So you're completely valid. Yair Rodriguez is the most inactive fighter of all time.
It's just, It's like a wasted, and like every fight that he seems to be in seems to get a lot of hype, and then he just fucking pulls out, or fucking he's injured, or some stupid bullshit. It just kind of pisses me off. The other thing I want to talk about was, I don't know how true. I actually, if people don't know, I'm a very, very big Yuri Prohaska fan. I don't think he deserves this title fight. If that is going to go to the interim title fight, apparently, I've seen a lot of rumors. I don't know how true it is, but apparently, Paul Acosta versus Yuri is in the works, is what a lot of people are saying. Will I think that'd be a fucking awesome fight? Yes. But if I'm thinking logically, I actually don't think he deserves that fight. And, like, Cam will probably be, pass out hearing this. I think Ank deserves it against Paul Acosta or anyone. I feel Navajo is more deserving of a title shot than Yuri at the moment after losing to Carlos Olga.
Why not do Yuri versus Navajo and Paulo Costa versus Ankalaev? Give Yuri a big fun fight, but it doesn't need to be. Now, I hadn't heard about this interim title rumor, but what I will say is what I've heard from the know is that UFC 330 just took place. UFC 331 is booked out with Van versus Pantoja. They announced UFC 333 with Volk versus Evloev.
They haven't done, yeah.
Nobody knows about 332 in Salt Lake City. No one knows the main event. No one knows what fights are on it, other than I believe Peyton Talbot Figueiredo. But
yes,
it's starting to look like the rumors I heard was that it was Yuri versus Paulo Costa as a co-main, and then a female main event. Whether
Kayla
that's
Harrison.
Shevchenko, whether that's Kayla Harrison. It can't be Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes, because that should have been hyped for 6 months. So I have no idea what the fight is, but they need to put something together. But I had heard the rumors of Yuri versus Paulo Costa, but you're saying you think it's for an interim.
Well, the guy that said, remember how, like, I can't remember if it was I think it was actually the Carlos versus Yuri fight. And I told you maybe a couple months in advance before it got released, that the guy on Twitter I saw post it. The exact same guy is the one posting about this interim fight. But what's crazy? Is it crazy to say that interim fight should not be the fucking co-main? I don't care if there's a fucking, I know, casual take, sure. Amanda Nunes in that versus fucking Kayla Harrison, sure. Triple H versus fucking the big lesbian, awesome. And no world of mine should that ever take precedent over Yuri Prohaska fight. I'm sorry, even if I don't believe he deserves a title fight, boring. That's going to be that's the fight that people care about in that card. And
boy, will they have to stack that card.
If it's Shevchenko, come on, boring.
Well, it's not going to be Dern, but who else could it be, right? Because flyweight booked, bantamweight booked. We know Merab versus Piotr Jan. Featherweight booked. We know Volk Evloev. Lightweight Gaethje just fought. There's no way they bring him back this quick. Welterweight just fought. Middleweight, Chimaev and Strickland kind of recently fought, and that's a big fight to be leaving till late, especially if you're going to do the rematch. We need hype, we need talk. Light heavyweight we know is injured, and heavyweight we don't know anything about it, but it would seem weird for them to do Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane in Salt Lake City. You would think that would be a fight left for the end of the year and on a massive pay-per-view in Abu Dhabi or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really am starting to get a little bit concerned that maybe they're going to try and do like a Charles Oliveira BMF belt.
Diego Lopez versus Charles Oliveira.
Diego Lopez, something like that for a BMF is what I'm starting to kind of get a little hint at.
Mm.
But it's like, yeah, I really do. It's an awesome fight, but we're kind of being robbed of a good co-main because Diego Lopez versus Charles Oliveira doesn't need to be for a BMF bout. That could just be a fun lightweight fight, 3-rounder, and it's not going to go 5 rounds anyway. So just give that as a co-main, Like, I think if you're really honest, Charles Oliveira is not the kind of guy that wants to walk around with the BMF title over his shoulder. He wants the real bout. He wants a shot at Gaethje. So, let him fight Diego Lopez or do him versus Arman or fuck it, do him versus Quillen Selkild. Yeah. As a co-main, but I think maybe we're going to be looking at a BMF title fight in UFC 332.
Yeah, and the problem with Charles having the BMF belt is I actually feel like the UFC is going to want to take that off him. Like they're going to set that man up. No, and it's like Charles de Bronx. Anyone that knows me knows I love the Charles edits where it's black and white and there's Deftones playing and he shows off his teeth doing that scary thing that's just him stretching his jaw but looks terrifying to any other person fighting him.
Yeah,
it's fucking cool. But as you said, and people go, oh, casual if you want to watch stand up striking go right. The BMF was not made for 5 round decisions unless it was like Robbie Lawler decision fights,
Mhm.
where everyone is like broken noses and blood everywhere. It's a BMF belt. It's not a belt to show skill. It's about to show like heart and violence.
It's
It's
for the guy that can't get to the top skill.
yeah.
You know, it's the blue collar belt. It's
Yeah.
the hey, you're never going to be the real champ, but at least you can have a pay per view. Whereas Charles Oliveira, we know has the ability to be the real
Yeah.
champ.
I still think that the weights for his scales, you remember how they stripped him of the belt because he missed weight? I still
Yeah,
think
it was
that
bullshit.
controversy. I still think the scale they need to get a fucking digital scales.
But he lost to Islam anyway. But yeah, but no, yeah. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. I hope it's not a BMF title fight. But at the same time, they know you've got you and me hooked. We're addicts. So if it even is Charles Oliveira, Diego Lopez, we're still going to tune in, aren't we?
If there's a BMF belt as even if it's the main for that fight and then has the interim light heavyweight underneath it though, with like just those 4 fighters there, and then a Peyton Talbot versus Figgy fight on the card as well. That is actually starting to shape up to be a pretty fucking good card. Just
Now
as
we
like it's fucking
yeah.
we're drinking beers and we're fucking watching that one. Like that's gonna be a good card. But yeah, I don't know, man. I do feel bad. I know a lot of people. I know this is going back now, but just talking about Ank and the whole situation, people were giving him arseholes um, about that fight. Where I don't blame him at all for that fight. Like, he be more explosive and come forward with a bit more of an intent. But sure, whatever. But he wasn't the one on the run the whole fight. Like it takes two to tango. And as much as I like to hate on the bro, just daggy racism, which is something that's in my blood. But I have to admit, like a lot of people blame him for the wrong stuff. If like he could have probably wrestled him and got him out earlier, sure. But he wants to stand on the feet and do that sort of stuff like that. I feel bad for Hank, is what I'm trying to say. Basically, he's really like the top guy, one of the top guys, if not the top guy. I don't know if Carlos will beat him. Um, but yeah, it just feels like a lot of the divisions at the moment seem to have some weird shit going on. Every division seems to get like a weird injury that fucks everything up for everyone else. The reason Sean Strickland hasn't had any, I know he got injured after his fight, didn't he? Or in his fight with Hamza, he was quite injured afterwards, is what they were saying.
It's inactivity as well, though. It's like we left here. We're all asking: is it Prates next, or is it Michael Morales next? Islam's not going to fight for a whole nother fucking year, or he's not going to fight until January next year before Ramadan. Do Prates versus Michael Morales set 3-3-2? Like I'm sick of this inactivity. Like you even said, keep prospects away from prospects. I think you should keep prospects away from prospects until they're in the top 15. Once they're in the top 15, they're not prospects, they're now contenders. That's how I see you're a ranked opponent, and it's time to fight the best. You should have a tough path to the belt. There should be no one being protected and getting to the belt and then being, oh, now we do the fun matchups. This isn't WWE where it's like we'll save the big ones for SummerSlam. It's like, no, let's get underway. Let's start getting some fights going. We've got some really big names, and let's have a little bit of activity. If you win your fight in the first round, like watch Jalen Turner not come back for another 8 months. After knocking Hernandez out in a minute. A guy like that should be saying, hey, I'm here for 3-3-2. Who you got for me? I'll fight a ranked guy. So I completely agree. There's a lack of activity, and it's not just coming from the champions. It's coming from the contenders. If you're looking at your division and you don't have a rightful contender, hell, even lightweight, poor Gaethje's kind of like, well, do I fight Taporia, Armin, Charles, or fucking Quillen Selkirk? Like, make yourself known as the new contender. Make yourself known as the next guy. Don't sit around on your high horse waiting for an opportunity to be thrown your way. It's the land of opportunity. It's the land of taking the opportunities. So people in front of you don't want to pass the torch, snatch it from their fucking hands, is what I say. But with that being said, this is going to conclude our week here for the Couch Coaches. I have been MMA Cam. That's been Rocky Shawley. We hope you guys really enjoy the fights this week. Let us know if you agree or disagree with the picks in the comment section below, and we will be back next week a lot earlier for UFC Shanghai. So get your squinter eyes on. We're going to be going to China. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Road to UFC is taking place here as well. Final thoughts from me is thank you for whoever does watch this. We do appreciate this, and I will timestamp this down below so people know what's going on. Rocky?
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll try to make it more consistent. Just try to grow ourselves a little bit. But if you guys want to join a panel as well and discuss stuff with us, that would be awesome too. So hey, thank you very much.
all levels. We're all learning here as well. You know, we haven't been breaking fights down our whole lives, so we're all learning. We're just fans of the sport that want to give our thoughts on each of the fights. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you all in the next one.